Hey, this is Dan from MusicXplorer. We're here with Danny Miranda. He's the bassist of Blue Öyster Cult. Some would say his life is a rock and roll fantasy. And he stayed with Blue Öyster Cult through 2004. In 2004, he auditioned for the Queen musical, We Will Rock You. And then he also toured with Queen and Paul Rodgers through 2008. And in 2017, he rejoined Blue Öyster Cult once again. Tell us how you started playing bass.
Wanted to play saxophone. It was either that or a stringed instrument like violin. There weren't any choices for guitar or even piano. And then comes around, I guess around 13, I wanted to switch to guitar. So I started playing guitar. And I guess there were too many guitarists around, so I got demoted to bass. I grew to fall in love with it. And Kenny Aronson from, remember the band Derringer? Obviously Rick Derringer. So Kenny Aronson and All the World's a Stage, the Rush album, Geddy Lee. When I heard those two guys, I said, okay, that's what I want to do. This is not a punishment being demoted. I want to be a bass player, and I want to be like those guys.
You joined Blue Öyster Cult in 1995. How did that happen?
Greg Smith was playing bass with them temporarily because he was due to start playing with Ritchie Blackmore. He reformed Rainbow after he broke up Deep Purple. Not broke up, after he left the band. So he asked me if I'd be interested in auditioning. And I had known Eric Bloom. We did a couple of cover gigs down at the bitter end in the city. So between those two guys, they called me and asked if I would like to audition. So Greg was supposed to leave at a certain date, and he had to push that up. So Eric called me and said, can you play next weekend? We need a bass player. We still haven't decided who's going to be our bass player, but we need a body, to play bass next weekend. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I figured if I do 3 gigs with them, if they don't like me by the end of the weekend, then I'm not their guy. So I did a week, and worst came to worst, if they didn't like me, I said, well, not many people could say I played a weekend with Blue Öyster Cult.
That's an awesome way to do an audition.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's trial by fire. The first gig we did was at Riverfront outside of St. Louis, big amphitheater, like a PNC type of place. And we played after Leslie West. And man, I was scared to death because I never played to that many people before. And I didn't know the music. And I had the songs on charts because I couldn't memorize everything. And so my tech put all the charts out and didn't tape them. So we go on stage and a big gust of wind comes and the first few rows have all my charts. So I'm going, well, I'm not a good dancer, so I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do to get through this. I had like 7 heart attacks. I'm going, it's one thing to be embarrassed, but to be embarrassed around 15,000 people is really a statement. You see that guy? We'll never see him again. I just wanted it to be over as quickly as possible. And then after the second show, I didn't want it to be over so quickly because I was really having a great time. I was in the hotel bar after the first gig and I was sitting with Chuck Berge, the drummer, and he was way cool. But nobody in the band would speak to me. Not, you were terrible, you were great, nothing. And I'm going, I need feedback. So we're having a shot of tequila and Alan Lanier, bless his heart, the keyboard player at the time, came over. So he looks at me, he goes, "You a good kid." He goes, "Now let's see how you play with a hangover." And he walked away. And I think that spoke volumes to say like, okay, obviously you know the notes, but as we all know, there's a lot more to being successful as a road musician. Can you play with no sleep? Can you play on other people's amps? Can you be in compromising circumstances and still do the gig? I left it till 2004 and I left to move to Vegas to do We Will Rock You. And then around January of 2005 is when Brian called me to tour with Queen and my favorite singer in the world, Paul Rodgers. And that was a lot of fun. And I still play with them, every so often, not enough because I love them. And then Chasm was leaving to go back with Todd Rundgren. So the manager said, well, here we go again. You want to get back on the bus with these guys? And then as time went on, I think Chasm just slipped back in with Todd Rundgren, which really has been his main gig. And he said, you just want to stay on?
You guys were working on a new album prior to this event.
Yeah, we're just about done. I mean, I've been done for months, so I don't know if Donald has anything left to do. I think we're in the mixing stage now, but the whole world is upside down. So we got a big tour with Deep Purple in the UK in October, and I am so looking forward to that because they're one of my favorite bands. And playing arenas in England with Purple, there's nothing better than that.